Good afternoon. Welcome to Long Live Third Parties Podcast. Free Press Media Press Inc., a third parties books publisher, sponsors this podcast. I'm Andrew Bouchard. Greetings, Jacob. Welcome to Long Live Third Parties Podcast.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for having me.
Friends, today we have a guest on the podcast. It's Jacob Bailey. So we get started by you giving an introduction to yourself and how you get involved in the Green Party.
Sure, yeah. Well, it's kind of a long story. It's sort of been my life work in a roundabout way, working towards this. And I've been thinking about it for many years. So we're talking about the 9th District in Indiana. And I'm from Bloomington, Indiana, which is in that district. And I've got a lot of things that I feel strongly about for the district that I feel like aren't being heard and aren't represented in Washington that I would like to bring to the table. So I'm hoping to do that in a variety of ways, and I'm not sure how far it'll get, but I'm willing to try my best.
So when did you join the Green Party?
Well, not officially, not as a member until this year. I voted Green Party a number of times in my life, and I've helped the local Green Party and been involved in it on and off over the years. But as far as being a member, it's just been this year.
So what made you want to join the Green Party versus the other parties out there?
Yeah, well, I voted Democrat most of my life, and that still aligns with a lot of my beliefs, but not completely. I kind of felt like too often, and not always, but too often, too many folks running for Democrat in different offices were too much in the middle on a lot of things, and a little bit too wishy-washy, and a little bit too weak on stances, and didn't really stand up for what they believed in necessarily, or at least were quiet about it. And I also have, like I think of many Americans, have been sort of worried about this great divide in our political system with two parties, and knowing that there's a lot of people out there that aren't particularly happy with either party a lot of the time. And I just generally feel like we have a stronger democracy when we have more choices. And so third and hopefully fourth, fifth parties joining into races does nothing but help make our country stronger. And so that's part of it for me too. It's not just about me or even just the Green Party. It's about trying to strengthen our democracy.
So what made you decide to run for this office in particular versus any other office?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I spent a lot of time talking with folks in the Green Party and people with experience, and was on the fence about a couple different offices to run for. And I don't know how much you want me to get into it, but the 9th District in Indiana is a pretty diverse district. It kind of runs sort of just south of Indianapolis for people who know Indiana geography, south of Indianapolis down to the Ohio River, kind of right across from Louisville and Jeffersonville in that area. There's about 750,000 voters in the district. And to me, it sort of felt like Bloomington, Indiana is a college town, and it felt like it was always going very Democrat, and then basically the rest of the district was going very Republican, and there didn't seem to be much dialogue or any in between. Everybody just voted party lines. They didn't really think about it. It doesn't even seem like the issues were discussed in enough detail. So for me, I felt like there was a big gap there that we weren't being represented by. And I've always said, sort of, if the Democrats or the Republicans, brought a candidate to the table that was really it felt like they were really advocating for Hoosiers, for the people of the district, strongly, even if I didn't agree with all their stances. If they were really working hard to do their best, then I would be more comfortable backing off. But I don't feel that way. I feel like generally in the district we've been not represented, and so I sort of saw it as an opportunity to get a message across and maybe influence the Democrat and Republicans that are running. So the district is mostly Republican, and the Republicans have been easily winning the district. But I know a number of Republicans, and they have been pretty disillusioned by sort of the Trumpism in the modern politics, and they don't want to vote for a Trump type candidate or somebody who supports Trump. And so they're a little bit more old school conservative Republicans that feel they don't have anyone to vote for sometimes. So, generally my belief systems represent the kind of what we call the far left and liberal side of the political spectrum. But it's also a lot of the conservatives in the district that aren't represented. Um, and then on a personal level, running for US Congress, it's a huge leap, of course, to be going for that. But for me, on a personal level, it's a chance to have sort of a widespread impact. I've had an impact. I'm a peace educator. I teach grade school, actually, and I've been teaching peace education for 20 plus years now, which is great. But the scope, the breadth of that is a little bit less defined. And for me to run for US Congress is a way to really strongly promote peace and equality in the world. So that's kind of my quick answer on that.
Sounds good. That gives us a good introduction to why you wanted to run for the office. So what are some of the campaign issues that you're bringing forth during this campaign?
Well, I'm sure some of the listeners to this podcast know, and some probably don't, but the Green Party has 10 key values. And that's one of the things, too, that attracted me to the Green Party was that those key values just really align well with my belief system. And so generally, most of the decisions to be made in the district or in Congress, I think, would do well to sort of be run through those 10 key values sort of as a filter. So every decision made, sort of being checked by those things. Now, some of those are a little stronger than others for me. For me personally, it's nonviolence and protecting the earth that really stand out as strong components. And I know a lot of people feel that way. And a lot of times people don't know how to sort of advocate for those things. There's kind of a lot to wrap our heads around. But I feel like in the 9th district, there's a big disparity between, again, the political parties. And I think that a lot of the farming communities, for example, in southern Indiana, also care about the environment because it has to do with their livelihood and also their future generations. And it's just that we frame things differently. And so I wish that we could be so one of the things I would like to do in the 9th district, and I'd love to influence other parts of the country too, but is to say, like, actually, we're all on the same side of these things most of the time. Clean water benefits everybody. It's good for the environment, it's good for the economy, protects our soil, and so on. And so there's some issues that are divisive, but I feel like many of the issues don't need to be divisive. So that's one of them for me, is just caring for the environment in the 9th district. And then much more broadly, and this one's a lot more difficult to sort of track and focus on, but the idea of nonviolence means different things to different people, and it sort of manifests differently for all of us. But I would love to have that like as a center point to my campaign. And then even after the election's over, that's going to be continue to be my life's work. So I guess those two areas are what I'm really hoping to sort of speak out about to the good people of the Ninth District.
So what is ballot access in Indiana running for your office like?
Well, I've been learning a lot about that. I didn't realize it. I'm a little bit embarrassed. Most of my life, I didn't really know. But what I'm learning is that Indiana has one of the most difficult ballot access law systems in place. So it's extremely hard to get on a ticket in Indiana. I know for my campaign, I'm likely going to have to run as a write-in candidate, um, because you've got to have 2%. You have to have enough signatures that represent 2% of all the people who voted for Secretary of State in whatever district you're running for. So for me, getting 2% means 45,000 signatures. And that seems like a huge amount. I'm not sure that even the Democrats or Republicans who are spending over $1 million on their campaigns could get 45,000 verified signatures to be on the ballot if they weren't a major party. So that's a big problem because in Indiana, and I realize not all states are like this, but in Indiana, we really very strongly only have two parties representing us all the time. And so I know there are efforts in the state to work on that. But I've been hearing that for 10, maybe even 20 years that we're working on that, and it doesn't seem to be getting any traction. So it's a real problem because we don't have as, the diverse voices that we could have in our political world.
So if somebody wants to help your campaign out, whether they're in Indiana or elsewhere, how can they do that?
Yeah, good question. So I haven't even officially announced yet. In fact, this podcast, it will be one of the main things to start things off. But I'll be having a sort of a launch party at the end of July coming up. And so people in the district will be able to come physically in person, come to that. And there's lots of ways to support. But most people, of course, won't be able to come to that. And so it's going to be a lot of online presence that'll matter. I do have a YouTube channel. It's Jacob Bailey for Congress. And the 4 is the numeral. So Jacob Bailey and then the numeral 4 Congress. I think even if you misspelled something, it would pop up pretty quickly. And I have a video on there about ways people could help the campaign. Something that's pretty central to the Green Party is to, well, not just pretty central, a key component of the Green Party is to not accept corporate donations. And so the way people could help this campaign is not by money. Even individual donations, I'm not going after or anything like that. Now, small donations can be taken, but we won't be asking people for money. And so really it's going to have to be a strong internet, social media influence. I've got a lot of young people in the campaign already. And they're a whole lot better at it than I am at the social media side of things. And hopefully at least the word can get out so that people can at least have a little bit more of a choice. This election's for 2022. So I'm probably 6 months ahead of the game on being ready for it. But still the time is now, and I'm hoping that folks can support. So starting with the YouTube channel would be great. And then we'll start having, all the regular Facebook page and website and all that popping up. And I'm listed on the Indiana Green Party website too. So there's contact information and bio and all of that there also.
Sounds great. Jacob, we thank you for coming on this podcast today. We wish you all the best with your campaign and all your future endeavors.
Thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk. I really love it. Thanks for all you're doing for us.
No problem. Glad to help. May you do really well in this election, and may you make a lot of people happy and do a lot of great things.
Great. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.